Hello and welcome back to No Bullshit. Today we return to talking about our long-lost former rulers, Great Britain again, who have been really caving in and pandering to the leftists and progressives lately. Last week they were banning clapping at Manchester University because it was supposedly triggering some of its students. Really becoming softies over there, aren't they? And now it appears to have gotten even worse, as this news story says parents in Hampshire are banned from cheering at their kids' football games. That's right, something I sort of predicted in last week's video has now come true. Just like with banning clapping, banning cheering is one of those equal opportunity, everybody wins moves. You can't cheer for one side because it will make the other one feel bad, basically. And this is the same reason all the kids are getting participation trophies these days, instead of just awarding the winners. Parents are afraid to upset their kids, especially in Britain, and it's gotten so bad, they're almost paralyzed from it. For more information on this story, let's turn to a video from Good Morning Britain called, "Is Cheering Harmful to Children?" Check this out.
My three sons all played loads of sport, used to go down there, cheer them on. Never abused anybody, never howled at the opposition, but I would cheer my kids on.
But some parents do,
I would try and inspire them to play well. And they used to react well to Daddy saying, "Come on, son."
I doubt
they would score goals, they'd score tries.
Voice, Piers. I cannot imagine you standing on the sidelines.
No, I've never been abusive.
Okay, I think the implication here is that cheering can be abusive and intimidating for kids. Looks like the guy, Piers Morgan, he's trying to defend cheering, as he should. Anyone with a brain and common sense knows that there's no problem here. There's nothing to see here, but blonde SJWs like this lady beg to differ. The liberals' job is to complain, basically, and since there's not much left to complain about in the realm of serious and life-changing issues, lefties have turned to banning cheering and clapping. They're getting desperate, and soon they'll be stopping us from speaking and thinking too. This is some 1984 level shit right here. V was right. Britain has been taken over by Big Brother.
There's nothing wrong with a cheer, but that is not what happens on the sidelines at children's football and rugby games. People yell, shout, get very aggressive.
Do they swear?
Yes,
What's the worst you've seen? Because you used to coach
I used
under
to be a children's rugby coach.
Now, I don't know what rugby is, but it sounds like the Brits are pretty enthusiastic about their sports. No shame in that at all. Our locals can get pretty riled up at our baseball and football games as well. But the fact of the matter is this. I think this lady is over-exaggerating, probably, very likely, in order to push her own anti-cheering stance. I mean, if there are parents going too far and losing it like she said, they should just be dealt with individually. Warn them and ban them from the games if you have to, and then from there you could call the police if they're breaking the rules or laws. But to outright ban all cheering from all parents just because of a few bad apples isn't fair at all, and it doesn't make sense. It's like banning talking at a restaurant because one person yelled at a waiter. You don't go and ban all talking then and turn it into a frickin' library. You kick out the person who yelled and carry on with your lives and your dinners and your sporting events.
I would say 95% of all the parents I've ever watched sport with, for going back 15 years, they've cheered on the team, cheered on their children, and saluted the opposition if they win, right? Now you want silence. We've had all this with Manchester University last week. No longer can there be any applause, or events, any applause. It might offend or upset people.
Hey, I was talking about that clapping ban in Manchester too. You see, this is why people say Piers Morgan is based. He's our guy, clearly. And I'm glad to see there are still some Brits who speak up and stand up for what is right over there. I also think this is a good display of the very different worlds these two kinds of people live in, which is actually the same world. The people on the show, they're all in England, going to children's sporting events for their kids and relatives and such. Except, according to Piers Morgan, 95% of the parents cheering is okay, and it's allowable, and it's harmless, positive reinforcement. Hell, you could probably even say cheering is a positive, good thing in some ways. But let's not forget, this blonde SJW on the right sees things completely differently. She thinks there are many more bad parents who are over cheering and scaring or threatening their kids, even though Piers sees them as just normal. And again, the catch here is this. These two are seeing the same world in two different ways. And one could easily say Piers represents the traditional conservative stance and viewpoint, thinking that cheering is okay and can even be good, while Blondie is of course holding the progressive and liberal side and viewpoint, saying no more cheering for anyone on any side. Let's censor all the parents, and also of course, won't someone think of the children? Virtue! I have virtue! Is what this lady sounds like to me. She's virtue signaling to the max, and it's getting pretty pathetic. With all that said, I think you guys know what side of this argument I fall on, but now you gotta ask yourselves this. Where do you stand on this?
Applause. You know, if a child scores a goal or scores a try, fantastic. Yes, let's cheer.
They had silence at the weekend.
Well, maybe that's their way of addressing and making a very, very clear point about what we are doing to children and the amount of pressure when they're supposed to be having fun.
Getting cheered for is fun. Doing well at a game and succeeding is fun too. And that's what cheering encourages. Look, I know it sucks if your kid isn't very athletic, but quit trying to ruin it for the rest of us. Maybe her kid was meant to be a lawyer or a violin player or something. Sports isn't for everyone after all. It's not for most people actually. And this blonde chick sounds a little confused here too. First she says that some cheering for scoring a point or a victory is okay. But then in the same breath she's defending the completely silent approach these SJWs are pushing now. It makes no sense. And I'm sick of this lady trying to pretend she's got the high ground because she's defending the children. Not true at all. Me and Piers Morgan are on the kids' side as well. And we say it's okay for them to have some verbal positive reinforcement at their sporting events. It's part of the fun, and clearly this windbag they have on the show here is trying to be a party pooper.
What would 2012 have been like, Super Saturday, without people cheering? I could hear my neighbours cheering all down the street. The penalties in the World Cup.
But these are children,
But
they're
they're
not
children,
adults.
they're becoming
Why are
adults.
we not
teaching them
teaching
to
kids
code.
about the real world? The real world is not polite silence
But it's
of
not
these
about
things.
the real world. It's about building this love of sport.
Where's the love if nobody can
We have
cheer?
a major...
Get her, Pierce. Damn. You trying to get me to like Britain again or something? Because this is how you get Americans to like Britain again. You gotta stop letting SJWs walk all over you and demand censorship like this. Pierce is against this coddling, pussification of the youth and the country. And I have to say, I wholeheartedly agree. This blonde is doing nothing good and is helping no one. All she's doing is being a whiny, bossy, needy, big-ass bully who thinks she can get her way by pretending to care about the children. She doesn't. She cares about social justice, progressivism, Marxism, and all that bullshit. And then she has the balls to hide behind little kids like this, using children as her shield and an excuse to get what she really wants. And I gotta say, this is classic dirty left-wing tactics, and I really don't like it. Exploiting children for politics is super shady, and I'm glad Pierce is standing up against it, much like how I've stood against it here when Democrats do it in America.
Tell me
make
the name of
anybody
one
happy.
child on the entire planet who has left the sport because somebody cheered them.
That would be a breach of confidentiality.
Oh, of course
number
it would.
one. And number
Of course
two,
it would.
of course
Give me
I
their
can't
first name.
That would be ridiculous
If
for
she
me
says
to
it's a
give a
breach of
child's
confidentiality, she's
name.
not
I've
gonna
never
give you
met
a
a single
name.
child
Of course,
in the
because
world
you would-
ever who's ever
That
quit a
means
sport
nothing.
because somebody
I can say
cheered
I've
them.
never met all sorts of things.
No, you're wrong, lady. Children don't leave sports because they're getting cheered for. That would be a reason for them to stay, if anything. And these secret stories you have of kids doing this sound really made up to me. I think what's really going on here is this lady wants cheering to stop, clearly. But why she wants it is up for debate. She claims it's in order to help and protect the kids, but I suspect her real motives are more selfish and devious. Perhaps this is all because her kids suck at sports. Or maybe she was bullied at sporting games as a kid, playing rugby or cricket or whatever the hell they play over there. Regardless, I don't think anyone's buying her proposed reasoning, because we can all see right through it.
What level
Yelled
of noise
at.
would be acceptable on the side of the pitch
Right.
for you?
I would have no noise until...
Silence.
So maybe gags with the team logo on. Would that be
Because
good?
the parents go there, many of them, they go there with all their pent-up stress and aggression
Take
and
it out on the
anxiety.
children.
And they take it out by yelling and, but it's fine because
But
it's a
showing the
sporting
children
event.
that they care.
Looks like this gray-haired lady is based too. Well done. And I can't believe Blondie wants complete and utter silence at a sporting event. Quit pretending every parent yells and gets belligerent. You're talking about a small, insignificant minority. Maybe like 1 in 10 parents yell too much, but it's probably more like 1 in 20, really. Regardless, this blonde is suggesting we punish and silence all 20 parents, instead of just correcting the one out of control one. Pretty ridiculous and undefendable. And that's why this SJW looks so daft here on this TV show, trying to stand behind this stupid idea.
You want kids to grow up by having total silence on their own sporting fields, but when, as kids, they go to adult competition, professional football matches and so on, they'll be exposed to all this stuff.
And
What do you do
in
about
life,
that?
it's not just about sport, it's in life. Children have to learn to win, to lose, and to cope with pressure. And this is an introduction to it.
Well put, lady. We must teach our kids life lessons young, or they will never learn them when they grow up, and they'll turn out to be weak, powerless SJW leftists. Like the blonde lady. You can only coddle your kids for so long. And Pierce brings up another good point here too. Where does this end? Because censoring the parents at kids' sports games has other problems that come up with it too. Firstly, like Pierce said, it's going to be weird and confusing when the kids see other adult sports having more fun, with their cheering and being normal. And secondly, something I just thought of was, who is going to enforce this cheering ban anyway? Who's going to stop all the parents at all the kids' sporting events from cheering in all of Great Britain? Because it sounds like that's going to take a lot of administrators and security and probably police in order to enforce it. And well, I think those people have better things they could be doing, quite frankly, especially the cops, of course. Also, if you're going to have all this security and enforcement at kids' sporting events, why not just have them kick out that 5% of parents who get too rowdy and loud and belligerent? I really don't get why this is an all or nothing thing. Regulate on the bad parents and stop their yelling and their abusive comments and cursing, and let all the normal parents do the normal cheering like they want. When you think about it like this, there's really no rational, logical reason to stop all the cheering altogether. It makes no sense.
Being yelled at is stressful, and
Supported,
children these days have got higher levels of stress than ever before, and this doesn't help them.
Jane, have you got kids?
I have a grown-up son who played rugby, and I was a rugby coach, and I've been a
did you ever cheer
childminder
him
and a
on?
foster carer.
Did you ever
Jane
cheer him
doesn't
on?
have a problem with
cheered,
cheering. She has a problem with yelling
yelling
and
and
abuse.
aggression.
Well, if she doesn't have a problem with cheering, then she shouldn't be advocating for the banning of it. Look, we know there are some crazy over-the-top cheerers out there, but banning all the parents from cheering because of a few bad ones makes no sense. Blondie here can't defend that, and that's pretty much where this story ends. Lastly, it's nice to see how this poll turned out on the screen there, turning out in our favor. A whopping 92% of Good Morning Britain viewers agree with us. Cheering should not be banned because a few parents yell and get mad. I know it, Pierce knows it, and I just hope most of Britain can recognize this too, because I gotta say, it's been pretty bad hearing all these SJW stories come out of there lately. But it was a pleasant surprise seeing Pierce Morgan today, and that gray-haired chick who joined in on our side on the show. Well done, Pierce. I hope you can get rationality and logic back in fashion over there in England soon, because damn, your country sure needs it. What do you guys think? Should cheering be banned from children's sporting events? Do you really think there's that many crazy parents yelling and getting out of control? And are kids getting pampered and coddled too much these days? Because it sure seems like more and more people on the left are advocating for safe spaces like this, with the banning of clapping and now cheering. Comment your thoughts on everything below, and thanks for watching No Bullshit. See y'all next time.